The air in the Nagpal residence, usually meticulously ordered and quietly affluent, hummed with a fragile tension, a stark contrast to the celebratory balloons and remnants of cake from the previous night. Dr. Raj Nagpal, a man whose hands were accustomed to the precise, life-saving work of a surgeon, now found them stained, not with the controlled environment of an operating theater, but with the chaotic, horrifying reality of fresh blood. His face, usually composed, was a mask of disbelief and shock, his eyes wide and unseeing as he knelt, cradling the lifeless form of Roshni Saluja. Roshni, the nurse who had become an indispensable part of their lives, not only as a professional caregiver for his daughter, Ira, but also as his lover, lay still in his arms. Her presence in their home had been a delicate balance, an open secret that Raj maintained with his estranged wife, Anju. Anju, a woman who had once navigated the intricate world of law, had willingly stepped back from her career, her formidable intellect, now singularly focused on the well-being of their daughter. She lived just next door, a constant, watchful presence, a testament to their fractured yet intertwined family unit. The proximity, a mere wall separating their lives, underscored the complex web of relationships that defined the Nagpal household. Ira, their 13-year-old daughter, was the delicate core around which their lives revolved. Diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, her world was one of intricate patterns and specific routines, a world that required immense patience and understanding. Roshni had seamlessly integrated herself into this world, becoming not just a nurse, but a comforting, familiar presence for Ira, almost a friend. The previous day, Ira's birthday, had been an attempt at normalcy, a brief respite from the underlying anxieties that had been gnawing at the family. The highlight of the celebration had been the gift of a new piano, a beautiful instrument that promised moments of joy and creative expression for Ira. However, the joy had been fleeting. As Ira played, her small hands navigating the keys, she had suddenly fainted, a terrifying incident that cast a dark shadow over the festivities. This wasn't an isolated event. Ira had been experiencing unexplained health issues, and the family had been living under the heavy cloud of anticipation, awaiting crucial test results that could confirm or deny their worst fears. Dr. Mystery, Ira's physician, had thankfully delivered a sliver of relief, ruling out pancreatic cancer, but confirming that Ira was suffering from hypoglycemia, a condition requiring careful management. The relief, however, was now utterly overshadowed by the horror that had unfolded. The morning sun, usually a harbinger of a new day's routine, now illuminated a scene of unspeakable tragedy. Kamala, the long-serving house help, had arrived at the Nagpal apartment, expecting to begin her daily chores. The unlocked door, an unusual oversight in the otherwise meticulous household, had been her first hint that something was amiss. Stepping inside, she was confronted with the sight that would forever be etched in her memory. Raj, disoriented and covered in blood, holding Roshni's lifeless body. Her scream, sharp and piercing, shattered the morning silence, drawing immediate attention and setting in motion a chain of events that would irrevocably alter the lives of everyone connected to the Nagpal family. Within minutes, the apartment building, usually a quiet enclave of privilege, was swarming with the flashing lights of police vehicles and the urgent chatter of law enforcement. Officer Gauri Karmarkar, a seasoned investigator with a no-nonsense demeanor, took charge of the crime scene. Her initial assessment pointed unequivocally to Dr. Raj Nagpal as the prime suspect. He was found at the scene, covered in the victim's blood, and his dazed state offered little coherent explanation. Despite the seemingly obvious conclusion, Gauri and her team began the painstaking process of securing the area, collecting forensic evidence, and attempting to piece together the events of the night. Raj's initial interrogation was frustratingly unproductive. He was in a state of profound shock, unable to articulate what had transpired, his words disjointed and his memory fragmented. The most pressing concern for the investigators was the missing murder weapon. The initial observations at the scene suggested a sharp instrument, likely a scalpel, given Raj's profession, had been used. There was also a broken award, hinting at a struggle, with a piece of glass potentially embedded in it, further complicating the search. The absence of the weapon at the immediate crime scene added a layer of complexity, turning what might have been a straightforward case into a perplexing puzzle. Gauri, with her keen eye, noted the garbage truck leaving the building, a seemingly innocuous detail that would later become significant in her relentless pursuit of the missing evidence. As the police investigation commenced, miles away, the narrative shifted to introduce Madhav Mishra, the seemingly unassuming but remarkably astute lawyer who would soon be thrust into the heart of this high-profile case. Madhav Mishra and association. His office, while not opulent, exuded a quiet competence, a reflection of his own steady rise. He was joined by his loyal and often humorous brother-in-law, Deepu, who served as his unofficial assistant, and Shivani, a bright young associate who happened to be the daughter of the formidable lawyer Mindaram Mathur. Madhav also maintained a professional relationship with a large corporate law firm, CLU, which often utilized his unique common man appeal to settle sensitive cases involving their high-profile clients. This arrangement provided him with a steady income and a degree of professional recognition. A stark contrast to his earlier days, he had recently been gifted a red Jeep by CLU for his successful work, a small symbol of his growing stature. The news of Roshni Saluja's murder and Dr. Rajnagpal's arrest quickly spread, becoming a sensational headline. It wasn't long before Anju, Raj's estranged wife, made her way to Madhav Mishra's office. Her demeanor was a mix of desperation and a quiet, steely resolve. Despite the complexities of her relationship with Raj and the public perception that might be forming, Anju firmly believed in his innocence. She articulated her conviction to Madhav, explaining the family's precarious situation, particularly concerning Ira, and the urgent need for a competent defense. Madhav, ever the keen observer, listened intently, his unassuming exterior belying a sharp mind that was already beginning to process the nuances of the case. He agreed to take on Raj's defense, recognizing the immense challenge and the high stakes involved. In his initial meetings with Anju and Ira, Madhav began to gather more information, not just about the incident, but about the family's intricate dynamics. He paid close attention to Ira, understanding that her unique perspective might hold crucial, albeit unconventionally expressed, clues. It was during one of these interactions that he noticed a drawing in Ira's book, a chilling depiction of Roshni on the floor, surrounded by what appeared to be blood. This image, drawn by a child with Asperger's, was a silent, powerful piece of information that immediately piqued Madhav's interest, suggesting Ira had witnessed something significant, even if she couldn't articulate it verbally. Meanwhile, the police investigation continued to yield various leads, some promising, others turning into red herrings. Officer Gauri Karmarkar, in her pursuit of the missing scalpel, focused on the building's waste disposal. Her team managed to track down Manu. The garbage pickup MAN.IT was revealed that Manu had a disturbing habit of secretly recording women in the building, and a significant amount of the illicit content on his phone was of Roshni. This discovery immediately cast suspicion on Manu, suggesting a potential motive and means, and momentarily diverted the investigation's focus. The police considered that Manu, with his access to the entire building and its garbage disposal, could have been the one to hide or dispose of the weapon. This development added a new layer of complexity to the case, presenting a seemingly viable alternative suspect to Raj. As the episode drew to a close, the stage was fully set for a gripping legal battle. Madhav Mishra, with his small but dedicated team, was up against not only the police and a determined public prosecutor, Lekha, who was soon to be officially assigned the case, but also the intricate, often contradictory narratives emerging from within the Nagpal family itself. The mystery of Roshni's murder was far from solved, hinting at deeper secrets and unexpected twists that would challenge everyone's perceptions of truth and justice. The initial events of A Birthday to Remember had irrevocably shattered the Nagpal family's fragile peace, drawing them into a legal labyrinth where every member seemed to hold a piece of the unsettling puzzle. The steel door of the lockup clanged shut with a finality that echoed the crushing weight settling upon Dr. Rajnagpal. The sterile, unforgiving environment of the police station was a stark contrast to the meticulously ordered world of his operating theater, a place where he held life and death in his skilled hands. Now, those same hands, which had cradled Roshni's lifeless form, were cuffed, and his fate rested in the hands of a system he had only ever observed from a distance, through the sterile lens of medical ethics. The news of his bail denial had hit him with the force of a physical blow. Hope, a fragile seedling he hadn't realized he was nurturing, withered instantly. His mind, usually sharp and analytical, felt like a tangled knot of fragmented memories and overwhelming despair. He could still feel the sticky warmth of Roshni's blood, the unnatural stillness of her body, the terror that had seized him in that moment of discovery. But beyond that visceral horror, the details blurred, leaving him with a terrifying void where answers should have been. The shame of his arrest, the public scrutiny, and the knowledge that his daughter, Ira, would inevitably be exposed to this brutal reality, gnawed at him. He was a surgeon, a healer, not a criminal. Yet here he was, stripped of his dignity, his reputation, and his freedom. The silence of the cell was punctuated only by the distant sounds of the police station. A phone ringing, muffled voices, the occasional clatter. Each sound a reminder of the world he was now separated from, a world that was rapidly turning against him. Back in the chaotic world outside, Madhav Mishra, with his trademark unassuming demeanor, began to navigate the labyrinthine corridors of the legal system. His small office, a beacon of quiet determination, was now the epicenter of a high-profile murder defense. His first priority was to meet with Anju, Raj's estranged wife, and, crucially, with Ira. Anju arrived, her composure a thin veneer over palpable anxiety. She was a woman who had once commanded courtrooms, her intellect a formidable weapon, but now she was a mother desperate to protect her child and, perhaps, a husband she still cared for, despite their separation. Madhav observed her keenly, noting the subtle tremors in her hands, the tightness around her eyes. She reiterated her belief in Raj's innocence, painting a picture of a devoted father, a dedicated surgeon, incapable of such a heinous act. The meeting with Ira was more challenging, yet infinitely more revealing. Ira, with her Asperger's, processed the world differently, her emotions often expressed through indirect means. Madhav understood this intuitively. He didn't press her with direct questions about the incident, knowing it could overwhelm her. Instead, he engaged her gently, observing her reactions, her body language, and the way she interacted with her mother. It was during this sensitive interaction that Madhav's gaze fell upon Ira's drawing book. Among the usual childlike sketches, a particular image stood out with chilling clarity, a crude but unmistakable depiction of Roshni lying on the floor, surrounded by what appeared to be pools of blood. The simplicity of the drawing belied its profound significance. It was a silent, unfiltered testament to Ira having witnessed something terrifying, a piece of the puzzle that no verbal testimony could convey. Madhav's mind, like a finely tuned instrument, began to connect this visual clue with the fragmented information he had gathered, a flicker of suspicion igniting within him, not necessarily about Ira's culpability, but about her unique perspective on the crime. The drawing suggested a direct, unfiltered observation, uncolored by adult interpretations or biases. It was a raw piece of truth waiting to be understood. Meanwhile, Officer Gauri Karmarkar, a woman driven by an unwavering commitment to justice, was relentless in her pursuit of the missing murder weapon. The absence of the scalpel at the crime scene was a gaping hole in her case against Raj, and she knew it could be the key to either solidifying her theory or shattering it entirely. She meticulously reviewed every detail from the initial crime scene investigation. Her eyes kept returning to the photographs of Ira's birthday party, specifically an award that had been prominently displayed. The police believed that the scalpel might have been embedded in this award, and that its disappearance was a deliberate act. Gauri dispatched her team to re-examine the building's waste disposal system, a tedious but necessary task. She had noted the garbage truck leaving the building on the morning of the murder, a seemingly mundane detail that now held potential significance. She ordered a thorough search of the local landfill where the building's waste was deposited, a monumental task that underscored her determination. The breakthrough, however, came from an unexpected quarter, thanks to Madhav's vigilant brother-in-law, Deepu. While assisting Madhav, Deepu had been doing his own informal reconnaissance around the building. He noticed Manu, the garbage pickup man, behaving suspiciously. Manu, it turned out, had a disturbing habit of secretly recording women in the building without their consent. Deepu, with a mix of indignation and a keen sense for a potential lead, managed to record Manu's lecherous behavior and, in a bold move, leaked the video to the local media. The resulting public outcry led to Manu's swift arrest. During the subsequent police interrogation, a shocking discovery was made. A significant number of the illicit pictures and videos on Manu's phone were of Roshni. This immediately shifted the focus of the investigation. Manu, with his unrestricted access to the building and its waste disposal, now became a prime suspect. His disturbing fascination with Roshni provided a potential motive, and his means of disposal made him a plausible candidate for having hidden the murder weapon. This development, while seemingly a break for Raj's defense, also introduced a new layer of complexity, as the police now had to consider an entirely different narrative for Roshni's murder. As the police pursued this new lead, the legal battle in the courtroom began to take shape. Lekha, a sharp and ambitious public prosecutor, was officially assigned to the case. She had a reputation for being formidable, and her appointment signaled the prosecution's intent to pursue a rigorous and aggressive approach. Lekha had previously expressed her dissatisfaction with the initial prosecutor, Kadam, suggesting he wasn't up to the task of handling such a high-profile and sensitive case. Her conversation with Solkar, a senior figure in the prosecution, revealed her ambition and her readiness to take on Madhav Mishra, whom she likely viewed as a challenge to her own rising career. The stage was now set for a compelling courtroom drama, with two intelligent and determined legal minds preparing to clash. Amidst these professional developments, Madhav's personal life also saw adjustments. The termination letter from CLU, while expected, still represented a shift. He was now fully committed to his own firm, relying on the talents of Shivani and Deepu. His wife, Ratna, ever supportive and practical, continued to be his anchor, offering her unique blend of wisdom and humor. The media frenzy surrounding the Nagpal case was immense, with every detail scrutinized and every development sensationalized. Raja's family, especially his mother, bore the brunt of the public gaze, their private grief laid bare for all to see. The episode concluded with a palpable sense of rising stakes and profound uncertainty. Raj remained imprisoned, his fate hanging precariously in the balance. The introduction of Manu as a suspect offered a glimmer of hope for the defense, but also opened up a Pandora's box of new questions and potential red herrings. The missing scalpel remained a critical piece of the puzzle, its absence fueling speculation and complicating the efforts of both the police and the legal teams. Anju's quiet determination, coupled with Ira's cryptic drawing, hinted at deeper family secrets yet to be unearthed. Buried secrets left viewers with the understanding that Roshni's murder was not a simple act, but a tragic event rooted in a complex web of relationships, hidden motives, and a family's desperate struggle to cope with an unimaginable tragedy. The truth was still shrouded, waiting for Madhav Mishra to meticulously peel back its layers. The chill of the prison cell had begun to seep into Raj Nagpal's very bones, a cold, unyielding reality that replaced the sterile precision of his operating room. Days bled into one another, marked only by the clang of gates, the distant shouts of guards, and the gnawing anxiety that consumed him. The initial shock had given way to a dull ache of despair, punctuated by flashes of the horrific scene that had landed him here. He replayed the moments over and over in his mind, desperately searching for clarity, for a detail that would exonerate him. But the memory remained fragmented, blood-soaked, and terrifyingly incomplete. He thought of Ira, his daughter, and the fragile world he had tried to build for her, now shattered. The thought of her confusion, her fear, was a torment far worse than his physical confinement. He clung to the hope that Anju, despite their fractured past, would truly fight for him, for their family's sake. Meanwhile, in the bustling, slightly disheveled confines of Madhav Mishra's office, the investigation into Roshni Saluja's murder intensified. Madhav, ever the methodical and unassuming strategist, knew that Raj's continued custody meant they had to work faster, dig deeper. His team, consisting of the earnest Deepu and the sharp, analytical Shivani, Minaram Mather's daughter, became a whirlwind of activity. They meticulously sifted through every piece of information gathered so far, from the initial police reports to the unsettling details gleaned from Ira's drawing. Madhav understood that the truth was rarely simple, especially when family dynamics and hidden lies were involved. Their focus broadened beyond Raj.